Go. So I think we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about encouraging wildlife into your garden. Just 1 second. Right there. Sorry about that. Try and get a decent view on it. Let's go to my channel and hello. Certainly get the stream up, guys, and make sure that everything's running fine.
Anyone in yet?
Just a second, we've got two people watching at the moment. Four now. Hi guys, welcome. Russ, hello, how are you today? We've reached 666 subscribers today. So 666, the number of the beast, as they say. Let's see if we can get off of that 666 today and get a few more subs. Just give me 1 second. I'm trying to get into my stream. I mean, is everything all right? Because I know people have been having problems with streams and watching the streams due to different reasons. I think it's a lot of the fact of people being online a lot more due to being locked in or anything like that. Russ says, not too bad, shattered but okay. Yeah, you've shot up in the last 24 hours. What you been up to? Been on other people's lives and just going on to other people's lives and saying hello. And basically, me, I've just been not really been up to much. Been shot up in the house. We're on self-isolation at the moment because Mrs. F has got a cold. So we just don't want to encourage anything else to happen. But I don't want to. I want to try steer away from talking about the virus because it's been not helping people. So yeah. You're not seeing any lives. Well, you're here, that's the main thing. You're in mine. But yeah, I've been on a few lives today. I was on Mimsy's garden earlier. She's from the USA. And I was on Inside Kate's Kitchen as well. So check those two out, Mimsy's garden and Inside Kate's Kitchen. Let me like my own thing. See if we can beat 24 likes today, guys. 24 likes, well, 23 likes while we were live is the record at the moment. But see if we can make it to 25 or 25 likes actually during the stream today. So today we're going to talk about attracting wildlife to our gardens and what we can do to attract wildlife to our gardens. That's the wildlife that we want in our garden, not wildlife we don't want in our gardens. It's Inside Kate's Kitchen. It's they're in America. I don't think of the other video, the other live I think it might have been yesterday. I was watching Monty's live yesterday, My Family Garden. So what can we do to encourage wildlife into our gardens? So increasing the biodiversity of your plot doesn't have to be hard or compromise the way your garden looks. So here's a few small changes you can make to benefit, here's a few small changes you can make to bring major benefits to the creatures that call your garden home. So you want to be choosing the right flowers. Flowers provide pollen and nectar for bees, butterflies and other insects that perform a vital task for fertilisation. Seed and fruit production would drop dramatically without them. To avoid too many highly bred cultivars with big or blousy or double flowers, most of which contain little or no pollen or nectar. What? Now. So you want to choose plants that provide pollen and nectar for as long a season as possible, from spring through to autumn. So you could choose for spring, you could choose crocuses or mahonia, and going through to autumn, you could choose things like the Michaelmas daisy, sedum sectiblia, or an ivy, which is particularly late to bloom and may provide food into the early winter for your wildlife in your gardens. We also want to try and grow a mixture of trees and shrubs. So growing a range of trees and shrubs and climbers, or a mixed hedge to provide food and shelter. The biodiversity found in these hedges and in a lot of hedgerows and that in the UK, if you look into hedgerows in the UK, a lot of the more diverse creatures that you'll find in these hedgerows would be found in hedgerows which contain more different types of hedges and different types of plants. Larger plants, particularly trees, support more wildlife, which seems unsurprising really. You would think obviously the larger the plant, the more wildlife it's going to support. As well as providing food in the form of flowers, fruits and seeds, they provide cover and nesting sites for garden animals, from insects through to larger species such as birds. Small trees and shrubs are good for blossom and berries, including rowan, crabapple, elder, blackthorn and hawthorn, and not just to our native species. Fruit trees support a range of specialist native wildlife and can provide for them while also supplying you with a useful crop. 50VG, hi, how are you? So you want to also look after mature trees in your garden. If your garden is too small for big trees, get some planted in the neighbourhood and protect those that are already there. Large street trees provide a vital habitat for the range of wildlife and may visit nearby gardens while foraging. Wildlife rarely respects garden boundaries. Try to see your own plot as a wider web of interlinked gardens and green space. If you can, also a good thing to do is to add water. Ideally dig a pond, but a container of water will suffice. It's about the same over here, 50VG, to be honest. Yeah, sorry, ideally dig a pond, but a container of water will suffice. The single easiest way to add wildlife to a garden is to install a pond. However tiny, a large pot or even an inverted dustbin lid in an out-of-the-way spot will do. Ideally, do not introduce fish to a pond primarily there for wildlife. They will eat anything that moves. And if you can resist temptation, allow the water plants to colonise naturally. Make sure ponds have at least one sloping side to allow creatures an easy way out. Most wildlife, including amphibians such as newts and frogs, like shallower water than you would possibly think they would like. So another good thing to do is to leave a pile of dead wood in a shady spot. Decaying wood provides ever rarer habitat to a range of specialist wildlife that is growing increasingly uncommon in the countryside, such as stag and bark beetles and their grubs, and many species of fungi. It also provides cover and hibernation sites. Any unstained or unpainted wood is suitable, although big natural logs are best. Ideally partly buried. Log piles can look quite architectural and rustic, though many people prefer to tuck them out of sight. I don't know why, because I think if you look you might want them to be out of sight, because that would encourage wildlife to them more, because they're not being passed by all the time. But also you might want them to be in sight, so you can actually see, people can see that you're actually encouraging wildlife into your garden. Composting green waste also helps your garden plants and wildlife, as it speeds up the natural recycling of nutrients by harnessing native decomposer organisms, especially fungi and soil bacteria. So why compost? So compost makes a healthy soil, which is good for everything living in it and growing in it, it is an excellent mulch. It's free and easy to produce. Unlike organic matter imported from elsewhere, it comes without packaging or fuel miles. Compost heaps also shelter many creatures, from some larger ones like slug-loving slowworms and grass snakes, which enjoy the heat released by the decomposition. Just be aware that obviously sometimes you may rats can be enticed by decomposing material as well, so you may get some creatures that you may not want in the garden. Thomas Farm O'Key, hi y'all, how are you? So we also want to provide food and water for birds all year round. So garden birds are some of the most conspicuous of garden wildlife. It's easy to attract with supplemental feeding. Over the winter, supplementary food can mean the difference between life and death for many species, especially when winters are particularly cold. Ideally, offer a mix of food, including peanuts, sunflower hearts, seeds, kitchen scraps and fat balls, or proprietary seed mixtures made especially for wild birds, to supplement natural foods such as berries and seed heads. Don't forget that the supply of clean, unfrozen water is just as vital for feathered visitors, and ensure feeding tables are not accessible to cats. Another tip to encourage wildlife is don't be too tidy. Now, this doesn't mean your garden has to look like a mess, but piles of leaves and twiggy debris won't make a massive problem to the look of your plot. And some people probably prefer a more naturalistic looking plot, and they are sometimes easier to care for. But these also provide food and habitat for many species. If you leave perennials uncut over winter, their hollow stems can shelter hibernating insects. Piles of stones can also make a good habitat, particularly for hibernating reptiles and amphibians. Tuck them away in hidden corners, at the back borders, or even behind a shed. You could also allow a patch of grass to grow longer. If you don't have room for it and don't want a full-scale wildflower meadow, simply allow patches of lawn to grow longer. This will provide shelter for small mammals such as wood mice, voles and shrews, and food for some butterfly caterpillars. Not all of these eat cabbages or nettles, contrary to popular belief. Garden sustainability to help protect wildlife. So sustainability is an environmental buzzword that it simply means minimizing your use of finite resources such as oil. These are resources that aren't going to that are going to run out at some point. There's not an infinite amount of these resources. It is a finite or a finite resource that will deplete over time. So you want to minimize the use of these resources in favor of those that are continuously produced by natural processes, from power from wind turbines, or right, you bring it right down to the allotmenteer or gardener creating your own compost. Synthetic pesticides are not only toxic to more than their target organisms, they are extremely energy intensive. They are extremely energy intensive to produce. So employ them as a last resort whenever possible. Avoid peat-based composts. Choose sustainably sourced wood for patio furniture. Recycle all you can. And save water where possible. These are all more sustainable forms of gardening. It will ensure that your garden treads lightly on the world. Hi Ray, how are you? Just see you jump in then. Just a quick hello, phone is low so may disappear. Okay Ray, no problem. Thank you for jumping in anyway, and thank you for saying hi. I hope you can if you do have to jump out, then hopefully you can catch the rerun. You can catch this on rerun. You and Russ did the same video topic today, potatoes. Yeah, I did see your video on potatoes, Russ. I didn't see it all the way through because I was in somebody's live at the time. But I will watch it through later on. So don't you worry about that, and I'll leave you a message on the comments. So, what else can we be doing to encourage wildlife? So we can scatter wildflower seeds and create a meadowland. Dawn. Meadows are simply mixtures of grasses and wildflowers. We've lost 96% of our diverse species-rich meadows since the 1950s, and recreating them in the garden can help redress the balance. They are great for insects, and they are low maintenance. They also make good, more natural alternative to labour-intensive lawns. Annual meadows have a mix of annual wildflowers such as poppies, nigella, corn marigolds and annual grasses, and they will succeed on fairly rich soils too. But a suitable seed mix usually needs to be resown each year. Okay, Ross, I'll watch both then. Perennial meadows have more permanent plants such as buttercups, ragged robin and leucanthemum. They need relatively poor soil, as this allows the wildflowers to compete with the grasses, including yellow rattle, a native annual that is a partial parasite on grasses. It also helps to level the playing field. Mowing paths through meadow invites exploration. What are you doing? What are you doing? You can make a rock garden. So steeply sloping ground, cliffs or rocky areas support their own specialised species of plants and animals adapted to surviving in the area with poor, thin soils. Their garden equivalents are rock gardens and gravel beds. Planted well, these are low maintenance, need little watering and attract specialised wildlife such as mason bees, which are important pollinators. So just a few sort of bullet points there then. So lawns, for example, are areas of long uncut grass, especially areas of long uncut grass, are an important habitat for all sorts of insects and mini beasts, not to mention feasting ground for hungry birds which feed on them. Borders filled with flowering plants and shrubs give nectar-rich food to butterflies and bees, as well as seeds, berries, and cover for birds and small mammals. Trees and hedges offer roosting and nesting sites for birds and mammals, as well as valuable shelter to cover from the elements and possible predators. Ponds and water features can be habitat for a huge variety of animal life, from amphibians and invertebrates to bathing garden birds. And even wood piles, compost and trimmings. The decomposing and discarded offcuts from your garden can be incredible places for animals to live, feed and hibernate. So our gardens can be busy worlds and of wildlife heaving with nature. So if we just take a few small tips from that to think about what we could do in our own gardens or on our own plots to entice wildlife and help wildlife along, such as things like putting up nesting boxes, planting a tree, growing a hedge, growing wildflower meadow, or even a small wildflower patch. Cultivate a wilderness area. Leave an area of lawn to mimic a meadow, which will entice shrews, voles and other mammals that feed on the grass or insects. A pile of dead wood will encourage beetles and grubs, which will then in turn draw larger foragers. Maybe a winter job, but I'm looking at doing a pond on the plot when I can get down there, but I'm myself also at the moment, so actually can't go down the plot at the moment. I don't want to risk it anyway. So I'm thinking about doing some beds in the back garden. It's only a small back garden, but I'm thinking about doing a few tent beds in the back garden, and just try and see if I can grow a few bits using like a square foot gardening technique. Russ says he really wants a pond as well, but needs to do it out of the way as we're not allowed them on our site. We're allowed them on our site, just as long as they don't take up like too much growing space. Ray says he added one on his Surrey plot, but no one mentioned. No. Anyway, we'll carry on. Hang a bird feeder. Birds need food, so if we can get a bird feeder and hang it in the trees or even on the side of a bush or something, make your own bird feeder. Sunflowers also make great bird feeders. If you
that's what we're doing. Just
take like the sunflower head and stick some string around it, tie it up and tie it onto a tree when the sunflowers are over. Talking about Nick's challenge with the sunflowers. Oh, nice, Ray. That was luck then, weren't it? Big pond liner dumped on your plot. Erect a bird table or bath. Attract mammals. So you can buy special food for hedgehogs from garden suppliers, while badgers will eat unsalted nuts and seeds, fruit and root vegetables. Make sure you leave out water as well. Steer clear of bread and milk, which can cause digestive problems for many animals. Offer hedgehogs a safe place to hibernate in the winter by buying or making your own hedgehog house. Create a water feature or a pond, which we've been talking about obviously. If you have space for a pond, it will diversify your garden ecosystem. If not, even a small water feature will help to attract a diverse amount of creatures. A pond allows you to keep fish, which I wouldn't suggest keeping if you're doing it for wildlife primarily because the fish will eat anything that moves. It will also entice frogs, newts, as well as attracting beautiful insects such as dragonflies, and use plants like water lilies and broadleaf pondweed to develop your underwater habitat. If you are going to use floating plants in your pond, try to aim for no more than 50% of the pond to be covered by plants. Otherwise the light isn't going to be able to penetrate underneath the water, and therefore that would then make the pond more likely to become stagnant, or it would be less enticing for other creatures that would use the pond. And observe and photograph, of course. If you do this, observe the creatures, photograph what you see, and see if the amount of wildlife that you see in your garden is diversified by doing these few tips that I've mentioned. As I say, anything can be used to entice animals or wildlife into your garden.
I need something else. Maybe something here, like.
So yeah, so I think that's the main bulk of our chat there. Concluded what we can be doing to encourage wildlife. If anybody has any other ideas what you can do to encourage wildlife, please do pop it in the chat there on the side, and please do let me know. Just give me 1 second. But yeah, I am thinking about Ray says at home he has an IKEA truck fast tray as a pond. Ooh, IKEA truck fast tray. Ah, what is a truck fast tray? Sorry, I'm gonna have to ask Uncle Google that one. Country Life Crafts. Hello, how are you? You've just missed the main. Oh, it's like a breakfast tray type thing. Is that what it was supposed to say? So yeah, guys, if you have any other ideas of what you could do to encourage wildlife into your gardens or onto your plots, then please do let me know. But please do, yeah, like I say, Country Life. We just I did run through a quick list of what we could be doing. So things like putting out bird boxes, making a bird table or a bird bath, trying to encourage creatures into your garden with different things. You can buy like hedgehog foods, or you can put out nuts and seeds and stuff like that for badgers. Also, you could help hedgehogs by making yourself or buying a hedgehog house, or hedgehog hide. Ray says I have poached eggplants, which hoverflies for the hoverflies. I think that was last week's topics. Yeah, but again, poached eggplants, any type of plants. Most plants that flower quite freely will encourage hoverflies. I mean, I think I found that hoverflies do also love squash flowers. they tend to hang around those flowers quite a lot. But yeah, most sort of flowering plants will encourage things like wasps, bees, and hoverflies and stuff. I don't mind overlapping a few bits in what we did last week and what we're doing this week, because it's kind of, it does actually kind of it does kind of overlap. Such things such as like planting a nettle bed, or maintaining a nettle bed to help ladybirds, because ladybirds like to nest in, or they actually breed in nettles. Country Life says we just have a massive pile of stuff in quite a large part of our garden that we don't touch. Seems to do the job. We have no shortage of wildlife. Well, that's pretty much what I was saying. Don't be too tidy, but don't be too messy either. Stuff laying around, bits of like twigs and leaves and stuff laying around it's not going to harm you, but it will help wildlife. If you remove and keep your plot 100% tidy, especially in the winter, it's going to stop wildlife from actually getting to your plot, and it's going to not encourage wildlife to come to your plot or your garden. So that is one of the main reasons for, I'd say, don't be too tidy in a garden. Gardens can be too tidy. If you do have a bordering hedge, or if you can put in a bordering hedge, you could always put like some stakes in the ground, and then when you cut the hedge back, right near to the hedge, when you cut the hedge back, then the cuttings that you take off the hedge can be put inside, stuffed into the hedge, basically like a sort of a weaving sort of thing, and then just sort of like add to it all the time, and that will then make a habitat for a lot of creatures to live in, especially such as small things like voles and stuff like that, as well as birds may nest in it, and other such things such as a lot of mini beasts will live in that sort of environment. So just trying to, if you've got a hedge, when you trim the hedge, just stick the trimmings back inside the hedge. Don't chuck them in your garden waste. Chuck them inside the hedge. Like, just, you can weave them in and out, or you can just put like a couple of stakes in front of your hedge. Just bang a couple of wooden stakes in, and then just slot the wood, the offcuts from your hedge down inside your hedge, basically. Country Life says, I'm much better now. Had the dreaded virus last week, but only mildly. I'm on my way back to being on track. There's no chance of Country Life's garden ever being too tidy. Bit the same as me then, really. I'd never keep it too tidy anyway. Ray says, me and the daughter have been making a bug hotel from pallet for the garden. Yeah, bug hotels as well. That's a brilliant idea. Just little bits of twigs and stuff like that. You can use bits of like bamboo sticks that you use in your garden. Put them all together, tie them up and put them in like a pallet like Ray says, or you can actually make your own homemade type bug hotel. You've got little bits of straw and stuff like that, stuff bits of old wood in there or whatever, and just make it like enticing for bugs, because things like ladybirds and solitary bees and stuff like that would like to use that on I would guess.
We made one at school.
A bug hotel.
Yeah, and we found an earwig.
Ray says pipe, fir cones, bark, branches and drilled holes. Yeah. So basically we can do pretty much what Ray just said. Just anything that you can find around, like piped fir cones. What you can also do with fir cones is you can make a bird feeder out of fir cones. If you get some fir cones, connect them to a piece of wood, and you can use like a, I think it's like a honey mixture with seeds in it. Coat the pine cones with this honey mixture, and then the birds will feed on that as well. Sounds like a bug mansion, not a bug hotel. I may do a video on that actually, bug hotels and stuff like that. Especially that'd be good for the winter time. Now you can buy wooden bug hotels, but I think sometimes you might be better off like building your own. It's 3 foot by 3 foot. Daughter painted it today. Was doing a vlog of garden. Not sure if interesting. All right. I don't see why not. Sounds like it could be an interesting watch. So you can make a bug hotel, a multi-story bug hotel, full of all sorts of natural materials, providing hidey holes for creatures galore. So it's also you could call it a wildlife hotel or a wildlife stack. It could well shelter anything from hedgehogs and toads, solitary bees to bumblebees, and anything from ladybirds to woodlice. It's Malhusive for little bugs. No, it doesn't have to be for a bug hotel. It doesn't have to be just for bugs. I mean, spiders do like bug hotels as well. But if you have like an area underneath, which is quite a large area underneath it, it could also help to shelter things like hedgehogs and toads and stuff like that. So things you could use, anything like old wooden pallets, strips of wood, straw, moss, dry leaves, wood chips, old terracotta pots, roofing tiles, bricks, preferably bricks with holes through them. I think they're called construction bricks, I think, aren't they? Old logs, bark, pine cones, sand, soil, hollow bamboo canes, dead hollow stems cut from shrubs or herbaceous plants, a sheet of roofing felt, planks of wood, or any other natural materials that you can find, really, like leaves and stuff like that, would also make a good thing. So you want to try and create like a H shape. Add 3 or 4 layers of wooden pallets on top of your bricks, and if you leave larger ends, you're more likely to attract hedgehogs and toads and stuff like that. You can also make smaller structures depending on what wood you have and what space you have. But 3 by 3 is huge. Yes, Country Life Crafts. I could probably do something like that down at the plot because I've got quite a lot of room. And I have found frogs and toads underneath the underneath pallets before at the plot. So yeah, it does work. And that's just pallets that have just been stuck there, just waiting to be used, really. So dead wood and loose bark would help with creepy crawlies like beetles, centipedes, spiders and woodlice. Holes and small tubes, but not plastic, for solitary bees made out of bamboo, reeds or drilled logs. Larger holes with stones and tiles which provide cool damp condition for frogs and toads. If you put it in the centre, you'll give them a frost-free place to spend the winter, and they'll help eat slugs. Dry leaves, sticks or straw for ladybirds. They eat your aphids and other beetles and bugs. Corrugated cardboard for lacewings. Their larvae eat aphids too. Country Life Craft says we have loads of frog spawn in our pond now. Exciting. Ooh. Well, spring is here soon. Depending on where you are in the world. Spring maybe already here if you're in the US. But it's coming at the end. Spring is officially here at the end of March for us in the UK. I know it was at the beginning of March for the US, the official start of spring. Dry leaves can mimic a natural forest floor. And you can even put a hedgehog box into the base of the hotel if you really wish to do so and make it completely wildlife haven, really. Make a complete wildlife haven. So you can build a bug hotel on top of a hedgehog box or a hedgehog box or a hedgehog house, and therefore making it into a complete a complete wildlife hotel. Country Life Craft says we missed seeing the frogs arrive because of the rain, but we can watch the spawn develop. Oh wow, that is cool, Country Life. I want to get a pond because of that exact reason.
I want to get a pond so we can get fish.
That'll be in our garden, that one.
Yeah, at the allotment.
So yeah, that's what you can do, is build a
Because we're having a
bug
pond
hotel.
at the allotment, isn't we?
Yeah, but we won't have fish in that one. It'll be for like frogs and stuff. Because then it wouldn't entice wildlife. It'd be because the fish would eat the wildlife.
Yeah. But we're getting frogs.
Yeah, the frogs will come. Seen frogs on the plot anyway. So you can also offer solitary bees 5-star accommodation with an easy to make B&B. That's a mouthful. A B&B. So a B&B for bees.
What do they have for breakfast?
So what will you need? You would need offcuts or planks of wood, 1.5 centimeters thick, a saw, nails, a drill, brown paper, a pencil, sticky tape, bamboo canes, hollow plant stems, reeds and chunks of untreated hardwood or logs. Country Life says it is more my husband's thing, but I like the frogs. That frogs eat slugs and I have way too many slugs. Yeah, that's always a good thing. Using natural predators to keep down pests in your plot, on your plot. So yeah, you basically sort of make this box like a rectangular box, and you have like 3 sections. So you have a right section, a left section, and a middle section. And then you would like put different materials into different sections of the box to make it into a B&B basically. So you'd use like the hardwood or logs, drill holes in them for them to nest in, for the bees to nest in, or just have like the tubes, the hollow tubes, wooden tubes or whatever, or hollow plant stems for them to nest in as well. And I was situated near some plants near some flowers as well, so that you can actually they've not got far to go and get some pollen and that to go back into the bug bee and bee. What else can we build? Make a frog and toad abode. So for this you'll need cut off twigs and branches, logs, old bricks or large stones, optional wildflower seeds, and a spade. So you choose your location, somewhere you can dig a hole in the ground about 30 to 40 centimeters deep, and you can part bury your collection of logs and stones. A shady or semi-shady spot is ideal. It doesn't necessarily have to be near a pond, but within a hop and a leap is not a bad thing. If you've already dug a damp ditch for diversity, you can also use part of the bank you created when doing that. Dig a round hole with a flat bottom, pile the logs to one side as you go. Once big enough, fill it with your assorted rubble and logs. The idea is that the bricks and rocks are stable enough that they won't collapse and crush creatures within, but at the same time don't pack it all down. Imagine you're creating a higgledy-piggledy underground maze. There's got to be a myriad of hidden winding corridors ranging from a few millimeters wide through to a few centimeters, all leading deep into the pile. Continue to pile material up until you're above ground level. It's really useful to continue to pile them into a low mound. To cap it off, if you've got some, put builder's ballast over the rubble and logs, followed by soil back over the top. What you want to do is close up all the entrances. You don't want to close up all the entrances, sorry. You still need to be able to see lots of gaps around the edges. You can pile the soil over the back half of the abode so that the front entrances are all clear of soil. Finishing touches, you can add a sprinkle of wildflower seed over the top so that you get different flowers come up as well, and that would help with bugs and stuff like that are going to be around, and that will also then help in turn to feed the frogs and toads. Or you could just camouflage it with some branches or twigs. Over time, rain and gravity will push some of the soil back into the holes, so after several years you may need to create another home, but this one should last a few seasons. Then pop out with a torch on a damp evening in the spring or summer and see if any of the residents are emerging. So those few, the Bug Hotel, the B&B and the Frog and Toad Abode are available. There is videos available on the RSPB website, and that is where I found the details that I've just read out to you. So sorry, that's not my own personal recipe for success, but that is from the RSPB website. But yeah, if you want me to, I will do some easy to follow instructions and easy to follow videos on how to make such items. The B&B, the Bug Hotel, and the Frog and Toad Abode. Also, I was probably looking to making a hedgehog home as well. Also, let me just put that on my list.
And I'm going to build a bird house.
And Mrs. F's going to build a birdhouse. Make a hedgehog home. There we go. All very good ideas. Yes, country life.
All I need is some wood.
So, hedgehogs. We can make a hedgehog home. Sorry. So hedgehogs hibernate through the winter, so they need shelter from cold weather and hungry predators. They also need a spot to rest and rear their young. So follow these instructions for building a hedgehog home. So you will need a sheet of wood, about 30 bricks, logs, a spade and some gardening gloves. So scout out for a flat, quiet, shady spot to set up your hedgehog house. An area close to your garden boundary is ideal, such as the foot of a wall or a fence. Before you start building, put on a pair of gardening gloves to protect your hands from scrapes and splinters. Use a spade to dig a hole about 7 centimetres deep and 45 centimetres wide. Fill the base of the hole with a thin layer of dry leaf litter. Dead plant material such as leaves, twigs and bark that have fallen to the ground. Then overlap the bricks as you build so that your structure is stable. This should help prevent predators such as foxes and cats from being able to knock the house over. This is just one way of doing it. So you want to lay bricks around the outer edge of the hole, making sure that you leave a gap for an entrance. Build up the walls by placing 2 layers of bricks on top of the first, overlapping them so the structure is stable. So you want to do like a herringbone effect, so that each brick would lay like that on top of each other. So it's like a herringbone. Is it like a herringbone or interlaced? I can't remember which one it is. Effect, which would be obviously more stable. For the tunnel, use 2 bricks across the gap to make a roof. Place a sheet of wood on top of the house for a roof. Then stack logs on top of the roof to weigh it down. Add more logs at the sides of the house for camouflage and to help attract insects, which are an important food source for the hedgehogs. You could also add leaf litter for more camouflage. So the house would now be ready for the hedgehog to move in. Try and leave this area of the garden undisturbed, but you could leave a twig across the entrance. If it moves, you'll know an animal has likely visited the house. Alternative materials. You don't necessarily need to buy a brand new materials for this project. See if anyone in your local area has old bricks or dry wood you could use. Instead of a sheet of wood for the roof, you could use a large paving slab, which will be too heavy for predators such as cats to move. A large plastic box is another option for the house, but make sure you cut an entrance in and plenty of breathing holes. Camouflage the box in the same way with logs and leaf litter. Any additional leaf litter near the house may be claimed by the hedgehog and taken inside to be used for extra bedding. Instead of a house, you could simply make a messy patch of leaves and logs in a quiet area of your garden. A hedgehog may choose to hibernate or nest there. If you do not need to put food or water inside the house. However, if you do like to leave food out for hedgehogs, it's best to place it a little way away so it doesn't attract other animals into the house. Wet or crushed up dry cat food is a good option, but avoid serving milk and mealworms as these can upset hedgehog stomachs.
Leo.
So cleaning your hedgehog house is important. It reduces the chance of parasites such as ticks and fleas being transferred through the nest. Removing old bedding and dousing the inside of the box with boiling water should kill any parasites. This should be done when you are sure there are no hedgehog occupants. There are 2 opportunities to clean your hedgehog house each year. The first is in April, when the hedgehog will vacate the house after coming out of hibernation. The house may then be used as a nest between May and September, when litters of hoglets are born. By October, most of the baby hedgehogs will have been weaned, so you may have a chance to clean the house before it's occupied again for winter hibernation. By weighing down the roof with logs rather than nailing it shut, you'll be able to move it to clean the inside. If you carefully lift the roof, there is a hedgehog in the house. Quietly replace the lid and leave it to be. Disturbing a nesting female may cause her to abandon her hoglets. It is best to leave the hog house undisturbed. You could use trail cameras to keep an eye on activity at the entrance of your hog home. You could also leave a twig or scrunched up paper at the entrance in the evening. If this hasn't been moved by morning, the house is empty or unoccupied by a hibernating hedgehog. Hedgehogs need a way to get in and out of your garden to get to your newly built hedgehog house. A hedgehog highway is one way to provide access. To make a hedgehog highway, cut a small hole in the bottom of your garden fence, dig a tunnel underneath it, or remove a brick or 2 from the base of a wall, if it is safe to do so. If you share a fence or garden with neighbours, be sure to get their consent first. We have, at the allotment, we have a hedge, so they can get in and out via the hedge. And the if we're going to do a hog house down there anyway, it'll probably be right at the bottom, not right at the bottom because it floods, but just near the bottom, and we will allow like a little area where they could get in and out easily, should I say. So that is another idea there, is to make a hedgehog house. That one is from the Natural History Museum, guys. Okay, Country Life Crafts, no problem. Do remember, guys, do check out each other's channels. Do subscribe to each other.
The rabbit's going
and do support each other. My rabbit's going crazy. Guys, if you have any ideas for any topics you would like me to talk about during live streams, then please do let me know. Anywhere on here, you can let me know on this video. You can let me know on Twitter or Instagram or even on Facebook. I have a Facebook group, which is just Forkin Allotment group, which is linked to my Facebook page. I'm trying to think of anything else that I could do. Anything else where you could contact me? Nope. So Twitter, and obviously, guys, if you would like to contribute and donate to my channel, then there is a link in my there is a link up above in my banner to my PayPal, so you can subscribe. You can send me some money on my PayPal if you would like to. That is, I'm not exactly asking for money.
What is that? I don't know.
So, but I think, guys, that is probably about it for me today. I think I'm gonna cut it short there because I've just seen that Sam from Sam's Garden, Allotment Garden, is doing a live, and I would like you guys that are with me now to go over to Sam. I'm going to go over and see Sam as well. But yeah, thank you for coming along. Please do remember, like, comment, subscribe. Please do tell your friends we're here, and please do carry on And please, everybody, be safe, be happy, and be extremely careful, especially with everything that's going on in the world right now. Just keep yourselves safe and happy. I know nobody was around tonight, so never mind. We're gonna have these moments. I think Sam is live now, Russ. So I'm gonna jump over there and see Sam. So if you guys want to jump over and see Sam with, go and see Sam. Sam's Allotment Diary. And we'll all go over and see him. Don't forget to give him a thumbs up. And tell him that I sent you. So thank you. And I shall see you all later on. We'll have nights like this where not many people come along, but I enjoyed what we've talked about, and I'm sure that everybody else has been happy with it too. See you later. Bye.